Hello, everyone. Welcome to Confidence is Overrated. Last year, I told you all about how I was training to do my first marathon, but I don't think I told you the full story. And the honest truth is that it didn't happen overnight, and I had to change a lot of the belief and the stories that I was constantly telling myself to be able to do it. So that's why I want to share with you a little bit more of what happened behind the scenes. Because the truth is that for years, running was something that I always thought it was only for athletes or something that only very fit people would do. So I always thought that I was not capable of doing. And I remember 4 years ago when I met my boyfriend, who is what I call a serial marathoner. And he told me that he had from, I think by that moment, it was like 26 marathons. And I was like, and I think that at that moment, I still believe that I could not do it and that he was an athlete in college. So that's why he was so good at running. And that's why he was so fit. I still not related with someone who or how I saw myself, that I was a regular person, that I was normal, that I didn't have all those athletic capabilities. I remember I started doing 400 meters and then 800 meters, and then I did my first mile, and then I did my first 5K or 3 miles. And I remember starting to believe that I could run. So I remember at the end of that year, we met in February, and at the end of that year in December, I did my first half marathon. And that already felt like a big accomplishment. At that point, I didn't think I could do a half marathon, and being able to complete a half marathon felt like this big accomplishment. And at that moment, I say, next, I want to try to do a full marathon. And that happened like 4 years ago. It was no fast. Like I say, I want to try to do a marathon, but doing a full marathon always felt like something that was for people who were more resilient, who have more endurance, who were better athletics, who were more athletic. So I never really tried to train for it. I never really even believed. I will say to myself, I'm not the kind of person who does that. I'm not athletic enough. I'm not good enough at running. I'm not fast enough. I know I don't have enough endurance. And I'm telling you this because of how all those beliefs, all those stories that we are constantly telling ourselves chase so much of what we believe, chase so much what we focus on, the meaning that we gave to things, and what we decide to do. Fast forward 3 years after that, last year in October, on my birthday, October 1st, I simply decided I wanted to take on a challenge. I wanted to do something different. And doing a marathon was something that I continue saying that was something that I wanted to do, but I will do next time. Oh, I will prepare. I will try. I will start training for the next year, for the next race. I remember that moment. I will try to do my first full marathon at the West Palm Beach Marathon in December. I have already done 3 half marathons by that moment at the West Palm Beach Marathon. And it felt like a full circle moment to be able to do my first marathon at the same place where I did my first half marathon and where I said I wanted to do next half marathon, even though it was several years after. So it happened over time. I took the decision on October 1st. I took the decision. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. I wanted to stretch myself. But the believing that I could do it, it didn't happen overnight. I started doing longer runs. I started running longer times. I started training. I started being very consistent. I will tell myself, I only need to focus on running. Don't focus so much on your pace. Don't focus so much in the days that don't feel good. Don't focus so much if you do less or more mileage. Focus on every day doing a run. Focus on every day getting closer to your goal. And that honestly was helped me continue going to focus on keep consistent instead of focusing on the intensity, or instead of focusing on if I was doing it slower, or if I was doing it faster, or if I was getting better or worse, or if I felt it was too painful some days, because some days really felt hard and other days actually felt good. So instead of focusing on all those details, I decided to focus on just be consistent, just every day. Try to do something that gets you closer to that goal. And on the days that you cannot do something, stretch, do a workout that stretching your legs, something that you think is getting you closer to that goal that you already set for yourself. And when I approach the goal of running a full marathon in this way, every day getting closer to it, it made me see as something that was doable. I want to be very honest. I knew I needed to do long runs, and those were the ones that I felt really not confident about. Every time I had to do a long run on the weekends, every time I had to do like a 10-mile runs, and then I had to get out to 13 and then to 15. And at some point I needed to do 18, and I needed to try to get 18 or 20 before the marathon on a Sunday, because usually my long runs were on Sundays. Those days, I was always scared. Those days, I was always feeling like I was not sure I will be able to do it. And I tell you this because I think those moments where we feel uncomfortable, where we feel scared, those are the moments where we are stretching our capability, our capacity, and our belief little by little. So it didn't happen like, overnight. It didn't happen fast. I started training in October. October 2nd was my first run. I think I did 7 or 8 miles that day. And I started being very consistent, doing 6, 7, 8 miles during the weeks. And then I would take 10 miles runs on weekends. And I knew I needed to progressively increase my millage, my weekly millage. And I didn't have like a professional training or a professional plan. I just focused on being consistent and doing the work, really, on being out there. I even made a plan with ChatGPT, and I told it to tell me what my weekly mileage should be and how should I increase it if I had 2.5 months to train for the full marathon in December. The marathon, I think, was December 14th. So it gave me a plan, but I just focused on the general gist, on the average mileage I needed to do daily and weekly without so much, I guess, without being so rigid about the structure and more flexible to my approach, more flexible to changing some days. I needed long runs on the weekend. The first 11 mile I did, then the 13 I did, then the 15, then the 18. All those runs felt hard. They felt difficult. They felt uncomfortable, and they felt scary as hell. When I say we have to take small steps, they feel small compared to our goal, but they're still often stretching us a little bit out of our comfort zone. And that's why you want to start expanding your comfort zone. And your comfort zone can start here. And if every day, or at least every week, you focus on stretching a little bit, and some days it will go bad, or maybe you will feel like it's getting smaller. But I promise you, you focus on expanding it micro, with one more mile, with one more minute, with one more breath. If you focus on stretching that comfort zone, little by little, your expansion levels, progress, your growth, that compounds, that accelerates. But we start with micro steps. The truth is that 2 weeks before the marathon, I had not really registered yet at this point for the full marathon. I had committed. I had said I wanted to do it, but I had not registered. And this is because I still was not believing that I could do it. I remember saying I will not register for the full marathon in case I don't feel prepared. And I register again instead for the half marathon. And I don't recommend this. I think we should commit and trying to like burn the boats and try not to have more options. But at that point, I had so much disbelief that I could do this, that I could accomplish this goal. That this was the only way I could commit to doing a full marathon, by telling myself that if I didn't feel ready, I could always go back to the half marathon. And 2 weeks before the race at the beginning of December, I was still feeling very, very nervous about being able to do the full marathon. I remember I was kind of like debating with myself if I was ready or not, if I could do it or not. I had done my first 18-mile run just before that weekend. And I remember asking my boyfriend that I didn't know if I should register for the full marathon or for the half marathon because I didn't feel completely ready. I had done an 18-mile run the past Sunday. I thought he felt super difficult. It felt hard. I don't know if I will be able to do 7, 8 more miles after that because the marathon is 26 miles. I was like, I'm still not there. And he told me, you have trained long runs, training by yourself, feel hard because you are doing it by yourself. But when you're in the marathon, the energy is different. You have more support. You have more people there. And I think you are ready, but you have to listen to yourself. You have to listen to everybody. And you don't want to do it yet. If you don't feel ready, don't do it. You feel that you still need more time to prepare to train, then do it later. But I think you will be ready. I remember I was debating with this and I went to ChatGPT and asked if I had done this weekly mileage for the last 8 weeks and I had done my longest run is 18 miles and this is my pace. And I provided all these different data, right? And all these different metrics about my runs and how I felt. And I asked, do you think I will be ready to run a marathon in the next couple of weeks? And he provided, like, yes, you are ready. Based on this, you are in perfect shape for your first marathon. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. This is what you need to do moving forward. And you need to do like the tapper width and to lower your mileage in the next 2 coming weeks to rest. And I can give you the nutrition plan, the millage plan for the marathon. I can give you like a mindset motivation that you need to remember for that day. I tell you all this because that level of looking for someone to tell you, if I'm doing all this, I'm not ready. But having someone tell you, yeah, you are ready. You are doing the work. You are as ready as you can be. I remember I also told with my sister afterward. And I was like, oh, I'm a little scared because I'm not sure if I could finish the full marathon. And she told me, so what? If you don't finish it or if you cannot finish the whole marathon running, you can always walk the last miles. You can always stop and take more time. Like you don't have to have the perfect time or run in the perfect way. It's your first marathon. You can do it however you feel the most comfortable. And I think those two things, having my boyfriend and ChatGPT support me and kind of like give me this that you are ready, you have put it in the work, you have been consistent, you are doing it. You are right there with most people who are preparing for a first marathon and that are maybe not used to running. And then having my sister tell me, don't take it so seriously. It's not that deep. If you cannot finish it running or you cannot have the perfect time, who cares? It made me change my perspective. It made me reframe how I was seeing this difficulty of not being able to finish or run the whole marathon. And notice that even if I could not finish, it will not be the end of the world. I could register, I could try it. And if it didn't happen, I could always try again. I could register to another race and try again. But to continue stopping myself and holding myself back from even registering, from even trying, that was what was stopping me. That was what was keeping me stuck from even giving running a full marathon a chance. And I think this is so true for so many of us. We don't feel that we are capable to do many things because they are outside our comfort zone. And so we don't even Yeah, I would say that's the the right way to say it. We don't even give ourselves the chance to experience them, to try and do our best, even if our best is not enough yet. But like to have the experience and to improve along the way and to try again in the future and to take all the things that we fail at or that we are not perfectly yet there or that we are not good enough yet and to take them notice, oh, how can I improve from this? How can I use this as something that helps me grow, that helps me become better, that I could try again, register for another race, start training again, and use these learnings for the next experience. So I think when we see things from this perspective of not taking things so seriously, we will fail many times in our life. We will fail at many things. And not everything has to be super serious to enjoy the journey, to enjoy the ride. And the truth is that I registered for the marathon and I was nervous the day before, the couple of days before, and that day in the morning, I was still very nervous. But I told myself, just focus on enjoying. Just focus on the museum, noticing the people, on the sunrise. Focus on noticing the experience. Focus on enjoying it, having a good time. Focus on doing your best, whatever your best is on that day, because it changes. That changes too. And when I did that, the whole experience felt easy compared to the training, compared to to not having the right, fuel sometimes on some of the training rounds, not having restaurants on the training rounds, being by myself on the training rounds, on running Sundays in the train or running Sundays in the middle of the day because that was the only time to run that day. Compared to that, the marathon felt easy. It was alongside people. There were a lot of stuff with water and, gels and all the beverage that they give you. People were rooting for you. People were supporting you or literally like cheering for you. And I think when we notice all those things and when we make it a point to notice all those things, we change our experience because we are changing what we are focused on. I wanted to start by telling you this story because this past week I have been listening to several podcast interviews with Tony Robbins. Something that really stuck with me in most of these interviews that he did is that there are always three decisions that we are making at any moment in our life. The first decision is what are you going to focus on? And we always have the power to decide if we are going to focus on what is missing, on what is lacking in our life, or what is already there, on the things that we already have, on the things that we have already done and accomplished, on all the effort that we have put. And we are always making that choice. Are we focusing on what is not there, what is lacking in your life, what we haven't done, what we haven't accomplished yet? Or are we focusing on what we already have, on all the things that we have done, on all the things that we have accomplished already? All the skills that we have gained and all the knowledge and how every time we have failed, we have also learned something. We have also grown. Where are we focusing? Because we can choose. Are you focusing on what you cannot control, on the traffic, on the weather, on the news, on the economy, on your body, even on your results? Because you can control what you do, but you cannot control what you get in return. You cannot control always the outcomes that you get. Or are you focusing in what you can control, on your attitude, your effort, your thoughts, and your emotions, and how you respond to those emotions? Where are you focusing? On the things that are external to your control or the things that you can actually control in your life? And then are you focusing more in the past or in the future, in what already happened and you cannot change, or what you are always worrying about what is going to happen in the future? And how can you change it? How can you accomplish all that the things that you want? Or are you focused on the present, on what you are living right now? Because that first decision, what you focus on, determines the life that you experience. He says, you don't experience life, you experience the portion of life that you focus on. Then the second decision is, what is the meaning that you are giving to that thing that you're focusing on? Because at any given moment, you can be focusing on a number of things. You can be focusing on the noise of the traffic around you. You can be focusing on this music and the soundtrack that is in the background. You can be focusing on the video or the podcast that you're listening to right now. You can be focusing on your phone and the notification, or the people, your family, your friends talking around you. You can be focusing on your work. You can be focusing on what someone else say and what you're going to respond. But what is the meaning that you attach to that you're focusing on? Because whatever meaning you attach, that's what will define the quality of your experience. Because that meaning that you give things changes your emotions. And your emotions are the things that change your life, are the things. And then the third decision is what you are going to do with that thing that you're focusing on, with that meaning that you're giving to that thing. What are you going to do after? And we are making those three decisions every moment of our life. So when I was training for the marathon and then decide if I wanted to do or not the marathon, I was focusing on the story I was telling myself that I was not capable. So I just tell you this story, and I tell you these three decisions that we are always making at any moment of our life, because the things that we decide to do, the decisions that we make at every moment, are often conditioned by the stories that we are always telling ourselves, by the things that we are always constantly telling ourselves. So if you are always telling yourself that you are not capable of doing this, that you are not good enough, that you are not there yet, that you are not capable to change your life or changing your life, that's how you are determining yourself to act. That's how you are predetermining your life. And those stories, those things, those words that you use to yourself determine your state of being, and also the decisions and the choices that you make going forward. So if you want to change like the things that you do, start by changing those things that you're constantly telling yourself. Start noticing the words that you're constantly repeating to yourself, because usually the language propels us forward or hold us back from moving forward. And in there, we can always create change. In those small moments when we notice what we are constantly saying to ourselves, and we start changing it, we start reframing it, we start priming ourselves to do other actions, to take different choices. In there, we can change how we move forward. So I just want to close this episode telling you this. You don't need to be perfectly prepared or to feel like you have everything ready, to feel like everything is perfect to start, or to feel completely confident or fearless to start at anything. You just need to start supporting yourself. You need to start believing and telling yourself that you believe that you are capable of change, that you are believe of doing things differently. And start taking those small first steps, those small micro actions consistently, daily, that get you closer to that big goal that might feel too big, that might feel too impossible, too unreal right now. As always, rooting for you. Thank you for listening or watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye bye.